and saying, "Hey, you're wrong," or "Hey, this is," no, they won't do it. And they were actually questioned by Mark Lacey, the New York Times writer that did that piece.
Okay. Well, let's pick that up from the other side. All right, we'll be right back. Last hour. All right, we want the airwaves, and right now we got them. Many people chagrin. Welcome back. This is the Rebel Path. I am the Celtic Rebel. My special guest today, Ed Chiarini. We were talking about, all sorts of things. Before the break, I think you had a point you wanted to make.
Oh, I forgot what it was. Sorry. What were we talking about?
I've got something I can add. I don't know if it's related to it. When I look at these, I don't know if you've, because I've spent a lot of time looking at the social engineering coming in Hollywood, also the neurolinguistic programming. But when I see the credits roll, you can bet on it. You can count on it. There's a bunch of fake names in there.
Really?
Yeah, you can always see it. Just look at the names, and it's just kind of like, yeah, like you said, like sometimes they'll slip by you if you're not paying attention. Like, and of course, there's a Budafuco or whatever, or something like that, or a Mandingo.
Well, I know a lot of those, though. Some of them were jokes, because I do recall hearing about, they would play games like that. But, that could be a way of them, scraping out some extra money for, a person that isn't there. And I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of reasons why they would do things like that. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just the lies that come out of the Hollywood are just, it's unreal. We
talked about how, movies are just so digitized now. There's this video I put out once before showing how, like, they could pretty much make you believe any situation, any news report, right? But this is what's going on in movies. There's no big studio sets like the Cleopatra days and all that. Yet, the cost of movies continues to skyrocket, right? It costs like, what, $150 million to make these movies now?
That's true.
Which is BS, because this is all done on computer. There's no sets anymore.
That's true. I didn't even think about that, but, and I guess they'll probably say that, technology is expensive to use those expensive computers, but, who knows? But yeah, I think it would cost more to set up those huge, massive sets than it would to digitize them.
Definitely. Yeah, it's not computer time. What, like you can rent mainframe time for a lot less than $120 million.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I think it is the money laundering operation, basically. And that's why the cost of movies has gone up so much.
And what was the one that Kevin Costner did where they're out in the sea and I think he built that Waterworld, yeah, 200 some million or something, I don't know, but that could have been all done real cheap on the green screen, but
yeah, exactly. So so that's a valid question. How come the costs continue to soar?
It's a good question. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. And TV shows like, and this is, for example, I don't watch the show, but I've seen it just to look at this, is Ugly Betty. That show, a lot of the things that you see in it is 100%, except for just the actors that are standing there talking. Everything else in the background, everything, including the people walking by in the background, is all green screen. So they showed it before and after, and then they turned the effects off, and it's a big green room that they're standing in, and it just goes to show what they can do. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I've been meaning to expand on that at some point, but there's a few other things I want to get to with you, including a couple of little boys from Littleton. So,
Littleton?
Yeah, Littleton, Colorado. All right, so we'll get to those little boys just on the other side of the break. All right, we are back. Welcome back to the Rebel Path. Ed?
Yes.
Where we left off, we were talking about these two little bitch boys from Colorado named Trey Parker and Matt Stone. And you have a theory that they are actually the same as Dylan and Klebold or something like that?
Correct.
Were those their last names?
Yes.
For those unfamiliar, the shooters of the Columbine massacre.
Correct. And when you look at that whole incident, we know it's a drill because there's a ton of different bunch of evidence that shows us that it was a drill, including them dragging around one of the dummy bodies, and also the fact that on the rooftop when the SWAT teams goes in, there's a guy with a clipboard standing there behind him. So it fits the same format as we see with the X-Plan and the Giffords events, which we can go into. That's with Homeland Security and their drills that they do. So when you know it's a drill, okay, it's fake. Well, then who are these people that are playing these key roles? And when you look at the individuals that they say are the shooters, and you put them up and you look at their faces against the faces of the creators of South Park, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, they are identical. and you can match the ears, you can match the faces, and actually, just to slap us in the face, they pose in some of their pictures in the same position as they've shown Dylan and Klebold in their high school photographs. Oh, I mean, it's just like they're just saying it right to our face. And, this isn't my opinion. I mean, I'm looking at the ears, and everybody can, there are plenty of pictures of them out there where you can see their ears, and you can match them up, and the science doesn't lie with that one.
All right, let me tell you, I saw the first video you put on that, and yeah, I think you the one where you show the guy with a clipboard following the guys who are getting ready to, yeah, okay, boom, nailed it. All right, you got that one. Plus the other point where they're dragging the dummy, it's plain as day. I couldn't see the resemblance between the two characters and Trey Parker and Matt Stone. In the second video you made on it, I think you did a better job of showing the similarities. And I'm not sure if it's because you could spend more time showing that, but I'm still not seeing it. I'm still kind of iffy on it. But, there are some other things that raise questions. It's like, why would, coincidentally, they went to the same high school.
Yeah, that's another thing, yeah.
Why would Michael Moore, that piece of whatever, excrement, interview them on the subject? And coincidentally, again, something else that just stands out, because again, Jews make a very small percentage of the population in America. These two kids that went on a rampage were Jewish, and so are Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Well, and then we also have the Greenberg family and the Vole family people that we've seen in playing roles in that incident too. So, I don't know when it comes to those things. People are going to say, well, it's coincidence. Well, they'll say that South Park came out before that, and that doesn't prove that it wasn't them. That doesn't prove anything. So they'll say, well, their ages aren't right. They're too old. And well, that still doesn't prove anything because you don't know how old they really are. They lie, like all actors do from Hollywood. They lie about their names and they lie about their ages. That's a given. For security reasons or whatever. But so the facts that I can really only go on are the scientific facts of looking at the ears and mapping out the landmarks and then looking at their faces. And they match. I mean, and if you don't see that, I understand that. And here's the other thing you gotta understand. When I do a lot of these things, I'll do one video first, and it will be enough to make the point, but I'll leave out the heavy hitting parts of it, because what I do is I know I'm going to get trolled by a ton of people on YouTube, and they just hammer at it and just go at it. So it comes to a certain point where I go, okay, here we go. Here's the second video, and it just basically drops a bomb on those people and makes them look foolish, because here's everything that they've said I didn't do, and now here's the answer for it. So that's one of the other things that I do you have to watch out for. But and I just told my secret, but it's all right. They don't care. They're not listening. But,
actually, they are listening.
Well, I guess I'll hear about it then.
Well, go ahead. I'll let you finish, and then
no, okay, that's all right.
No, because they are listening. I guess I don't know if you're aware of this, but I believe Trey Parker and Matt Stone themselves actually listen to the show weekly and require their writers to.
Really? Well, that's good. They can contact me then, because I would love to get a good shot of their ear, and they can prove me wrong. That'd be excellent. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. If I'm wrong, I will definitely, put it out there that I'm wrong. I will admit to it. That's fine. But, and sometimes it becomes difficult to get those good shots of the ear, so you can't really, nail it down. But sometimes it's obvious. But if they disagree with me, they're more than welcome to contact me and send me, good photographs of it, and we can go from there.
Okay. Well, they are listening. At least somebody on their staff is. That we know for sure. I've brought this up on other shows. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but people just keep contacting me over and over again. Did you see South Park this week? They basically ripped off your entire show of, this date, etc. I'm like, yeah. I'm told. They do this regularly. As a matter of fact, their last episode was basically based completely on this show.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I like their show. I like South Park, unfortunately. But
it's a massive propaganda tool. It's a massive, because it's got the minds of the young and the 20-somethings and the 30-somethings as well. I mean, I hear people in this truth movement, who are so awake and aware, they're constantly referencing South Park in their...
the other thing that they can do, since it is a cartoon, is they can get around those laws that, you couldn't say or do certain things if they were real actors on the stage. So they have that advantage where they can do really, some tough stuff and say some things and get away with it. But, yeah, it definitely is a way to manipulate the younger crowd.
Yeah, it's beyond. I know some people out there, they're like, oh no, that just goes. No, you can listen to my shows and then watch the next few episodes of South Park, and it is ridiculous. So they are listening, so I'm sure they heard you there, or somebody's going to tell them.
I hope they, call me up and let me do my own voice for my own, character, but I'm sure it'll be pretty, I'm sure it won't be pleasant.
Well, I'm sure they would love to create a character based on me. I think they made an effort this past week, but it wasn't quite right, guys. But good luck next time.
Yeah.
But I'm sure.
Send me an email if you're going to do one on me, so at least I can watch the show. I can catch it. So.
I'll tell you what. Speaking of them, I've played this for them before, but I'm sure that, since they're listening now, especially, they're going to hear this again, and I'm sure they love it. So I'm gonna play just a little clip for them for just a second. Let's see if we got it. Trey, Matt, or Dylan and Klebold, Trenchcoat Mafia.
Yeah.
Here's a little clip for you guys. Now let me tell you a story about a couple of young Jews. Trey Porter was round and fat, and Matt, marbles of stone, had really tiny testicles for a man that his parents thought that he was going to be a girl. Well, one day they were down on their knees getting pounded in the ass by a couple of old Jews. And out from their ass spurted a puddle of crude gravy, that is. Texas tea. Well, next thing you know, Trey and Matt are millionaires. Their gay bro said, "Hey, move away from there, man." They said, "California is the place you ought to be." So they puckered up their ass cheeks and went west to Beverly. But first they had to go to Colorado and spend some time underground sucking semen until it came out their ears, if you know what I mean. Well, the next thing you know, Trey and Matt are millionaires. They can get all the pussy they want, but all the ass poundings made them queer. So they take Viagra by the handful and pretend the pussy doesn't give them the fear. You guys will never, ever get your balls back. Y'all hear? Oh, yeah, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, F you too. And there we go.
No comment.
You do not have to. They've heard it before.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Tell you what, while we're speaking of actors, and especially effeminate male actors, well, it's pretty much, that's kind of hand in hand. If you're an actor, you're effeminate.
No pun intended.
We got this David Rothschild character.
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And the question I have to ask, okay, we know he got into his little shouting match with Alex Jones, which is, that's one of the things that made me think, like, you know what? This is so staged, especially Alex Jones. I mean, there was plenty of evidence, but this is one of the things. I remember him going like, "Tell you what, Red Shield, Red Shield."
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
It was just like, Ric Flair taking on, Jesse the Body Ventura. It was crap,
Yeah.
It was so scripted.
Yeah. Well, then you see the person that plays him, and this is probably the most solid one when it comes to Tony Greenberg. I mean, it's absolutely him. And, because of the fact that this David D. Rothschild is so photographed, and I have all these photographs of Tony, I have him pretty much making every face that you could imagine, and he matches up across the board. So then you see Tony doing all these other different characters, and of course being on Alex Jones, twice last week or something with Pepe Escobar and Jamie, what's the other one, his English guy. You look at them and you're like, it's the same guy. And I know Alex knows about the David D. Rothschild because he's been told about it, and I've even talked about it on, Joyce's show, and that's on the same network. So he knows about this. And for him to keep on doing that just bothers me. I mean, just, come out and, just say it either way or confront him or whatever. But, it bothers me because that one's so obvious, so obviously fake.
Yeah, and the question to ask is, why is David Rothschild in front of everybody's eyes? Why is he out there doing interviews and talking? And what is he? He's the adventurer. I mean, we know that the ruling class, the power, the people, if the Rothschilds were everything the books have made them out to be, would not be in front of the cameras. They'd be in the behind the scenes. They don't want the exposure. The exposure is for actors and people who are paid by fame, which is a very destructive influence.
Yes. And then you also got the opinion that it could be that the whole Rothschild name is just basically being